Welcome to the Teachable Podcast. We focus on providing simple solutions in the classroom. God has blessed me today with a pioneer, man, a true example of a educator, a Renaissance man. This brother has no limits to what he does. As you can see the credentials behind him, but this brother is definitely walking in God's will. Aulsondro Hamilton, also known as Emcee N.I.C.E or p.k.a, right, partially known as Emcee N.I.C.E because this brother is more than just an MC. This brother is a teacher. This brother is a creator. This brother is a visionary. This brother has worked with Tupac Shakur.
Yeah, man.
With Nas.
Yeah.
This brother has credentials and credits on the movie Crash. And I must say that movie was the first movie to talk about implicit biases in a mainstream way. Because we know that stuff was real taboo before that movie. You were definitely part of that, bro. You have an animated series on Netflix that's on Hulu, on all the DSPs called the Jammies. And I must say, brother, man, it is beautiful. From the music to the animations, to the writing, to the thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he's a multi-platinum producer.
Good, sir. I appreciate you having me on. I like sharing the story, in regards to my musical exploits. I'm also an author, by the way. So, just had the ability to do all those things and still be young with it. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about, that. So I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely, brother, man. Absolutely. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm 49.
49, man. And you still young, man. Yeah, man. So on the T Simple podcast, we always like to start off with giving a teacher tip of the week. As you know, if you didn't know, education is going through a state of emergency. 40% of teachers are saying that they plan on leaving the profession. Only 1% of teachers are African American males. Schools have been literally cut up. We have schools that are virtual, schools that are in person. We don't know what is which. We got teachers teaching virtual and in person. So I want you to give a tip to those stats. But before you give your tip, I just want to say teachers, teaching is the only job. Teaching, I say this again, teaching is the only job that you can start all over the next day. And what that means is that you have room for error, right? Because you got the next day to fix it. And it's okay to make mistakes because you got the next day. So just if you don't get it done today, get it done tomorrow, teachers. But brother, man, Aulsondro, what, Mr. Hamilton, what tips you want to give to teachers out there, man?
Well, teachers are probably one of the most important things in a kid's life, because they're going to be the teachers are going to see the child more than the parents see the child every week, every day. You know what I mean? And so they essentially become the second parent or the third parent. So the bottom line is, if you understand that, and then you take into consideration how you would want your child to act, or how you would want, or what you would want your child to learn, this is that moment to do that. Should be the motivation. But at the end of the day, they're not paid enough. They're the most underserved financially. It's the most underserved job on the planet in the sense of, getting them economically straight. You know what I mean? And so you face that challenge, and then having to deal with the emotions and personalities of these kids you see every day, and then have to take that home. So teachers are low-key psychologists, you know what I'm saying, who educates. So it's just, I say that at the end of the day, you are the ones that's going to help craft tomorrow. Right. You craft the minds of these kids, and what they get from you is what they carry on in the future. So remember that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And every time you have a experience in the presence of kids, you have an opportunity to change the world. So definitely take advantage, man. Absolutely, man. So let's talk about you, man. So where are you from, man? What's your story, and what sparked your passion for music? Was it a teacher? Was it a rapper? Was it a song? You know, for me, my first rap song was, and you're gonna try to, you're probably gonna think it's embarrassing. My first rap song, believe it or not, was Will Smith, Men in Black, bro. That was the first rap song that I learned how to like memorize in my head, just because it was super simple and it was a good movie that I like. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I got into like loving rap. And Tupac was really like a big influence. But go ahead and talk about that, man. What sparked your passion for music?
Well, you know, I told you my age, so you know I'm pretty much around when hip hop really first got started. You know, and when it first got started, it was, you know, what stood out for us was like Curtis Blow, Run DMC, LL Cool J. You know what I'm saying? But it was Run DMC that really set it off for me and my brother. And what we used to do is back in the day they used to have milk crates. So we would take the milk crates in our apartments, put them together, and put on a show, a little rap show for the kids in the apartments, and they would pay us some candy. You know what I'm saying? So my first rap memories is with Run DMC. You know, but then I always wanted to be like a Rakim. You know what I mean? Because of his lyrical delivery, and then, you know, as music began to transcend, I just followed the trends. So every year it's like I get a favorite rapper, or I admire some people. You know what I mean? So I first got started in music when I was a kid, and it was Run DMC. Something about the leather jackets and the hats and the Adidas, like we thought that was back in the day the word was fresh, or deaf. We thought that was deaf and fresh, you know. So that's what really inspired it.
The first phrase, it says to evolve is to live in a constant state of learning.
That's facts.
Why was that the first? Why was that the first thing you put on your, you know, as your presentation to the world?
Well, it's funny because my peers know me as Novelist, right? So before I became MC Nice, I was Novelist, right? And so MC stands for lyricist, and Nice stands for novelist is constantly evolving. So every day I'm evolving. No matter how old I get, I'm learning more and more stuff. I'm learning new ways to do things. So yeah, to be in a constant state of learning means you constantly evolving. If you want that, it's when you stop learning, you stop growing. You know, because you don't know everything and you'll never know everything. But if you constantly striving, one of my mottos is strive for perfection so that you limit your mistakes. So if I'm constantly striving to be the best me that I can possibly be, then I won't make the mistakes. I'll learn, and I'll continue, and I'll just get better, 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 and better.
Absolutely. And an educator who says that he knows everything is a fool.
Facts.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So let's talk more about, you know, your come up. So your, you know, music was your passion. I would say. Let's talk about writing though. What was your English class like when you were in an English class? Is that how you was able to create art? Was that your aesthetic for you to get creative? The writing. Was it Shakespeare? I don't know. You know, what was it? Was it a book? You know.
Yeah, man, I really fell in love with Shakespeare, and the reason being is because he would paint he would paint pictures by words. Like you would really think about that. And he would give the words he would say, you would paint that picture. It'd be your picture. That's why you hear that to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis noble in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortunes or bear arms against the sea of troubles by opposing end them. You know what I mean? Like when you think about that, you know what I'm saying? The vivid imagination that comes behind. So that sparked me. And when I was in school, I think it was like the 8th grade, the 7th or 8th grade, I joined the Writers Crimp of America, and I wrote a story, and the story got published. And and from there, my teacher was like, "Yo, you're a young novelist." And so novelist, she was the first one to label me novelist, and that stuck with me, you know. And then from there, I evolved.
Hold up, brother, man. Don't just say that with the most humbleness, man. You just gave a shout out to a teacher. Do you remember the lady's name?
Um, uh, Jaspers, Miss Jasper.
Go ahead and give your
Yeah,
testimony to Miss Jasper, brother, man.
yeah. She sparked it. Yeah, she seen it. You know what I mean? But she probably figured that I would go into like theater or or become a prolific writer from that standpoint. But my writings transcended into music, so I guess she was right. You know what I'm saying? If you think about it from the standpoint of all the things that I've accomplished in the music field. So shout out Miss Jasper.
And then real quickly, what were your experiences like when you were around her? How'd you feel?
Well, I was a kid that didn't really come up in the best of situations. Like I didn't grow up in the hood though. That was one of those things. I didn't grow up in the hood. Stayed in the projects, but the projects weren't the projects of today. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
these projects was like real easy going. Yo, everybody in there is just trying to get up and get out. Versus today is a little more. It's a survival. You know what I mean? So whenever I was around her, it wasn't like, oh, I'm inspired. It was because my imagination was crazy. So I'm always imaginative, and I'm always either, because I have an artistic background as well. So I was either doodling, graffitiing, you know what I'm saying, or any way I can get my hands on a pen or pencil. It was either to write short stories or write whatever was my imagination.
And she just was just there to support you, and it was that simple for you to.
She seen it, and so she did little things to kind of be like suggestive. Hey, this would probably really be good in the so and so and such. Have you thought about that? I was like, nah. She's like, would you mind if I submit this for you? Because I'm not gonna submit it because I don't at that point you don't really have the confidence in yourself.
Yes.
So but when that happened and when it came back, that one of the students got into the book that was statewide, you know what I mean? Now you looked upon as doing something that nobody's done in that school, so it gives you a little more confidence, a little more motivation to go, yo, maybe I could pursue this writing thing and it could work because I was an athlete too, playing football, basketball, running track. Like my focus was on getting to the NFL. You know what I mean? Even at that age, I was just like, yo, Tony Dorsett, you know what I'm saying? Like Walter Payton, like I was him. That's what I wanted.
Renaissance man, like I said, man, you're a true Renaissance man. So what happened after high school? So we'll talk about getting into maybe, I don't know, was it school? Was it the music industry?
Yeah, well, I played some football, but then I got injured. So I ended up having to go to K-State University, to get a degree. But I was still focused on I was focused on trying to get to the league, but I was depressed. But rapping I had always been doing my whole life, but it was a hobby. You know what I'm saying? It was just like a hobby that I happened to be really good at, And so once I got out of college, it was just like, okay, well, what do I do? I was like, I'm gonna go to Bible college. You know what I'm saying? Because I was already depressed. Life wasn't, I was looking at it like I'm not really, all I ever knew was football. You know what I'm saying? But once the knees get injured, everything go downhill. You can't run like you used to. You can't elevate like you used to. You know what I'm saying? And back then, modern medicine today, oh, I would love to be in this time because it seems like you can break a leg today and tomorrow they done put pins in and you back on the field. You know what I'm saying? Back then, if you broke a leg, that was it. Career over. So for me, after that, it was just like, okay, I need to do something. So I ended up going to Bible college. And when I went to Bible college in Pasadena, some things happened there where I fell out of, it's like some things happened within the church that made you question everything. And so when you start questioning everything, then and then certain things are happening within the church that cause that caused me to go. I need to go seek knowledge elsewhere. So I went at a point because I like to read. I got books behind me. I'll show them to you. I like to read. I end up going and learning a lot of religions. I read the Quran to understand why the Muslims think the way they think. I read the Torah. You know what I'm saying? I read obviously read the Bible, and then the Lutheran Bibles. Like, they all got their own projections of what we're supposed to believe and what we're supposed to think. You know what I mean? And so from there, it was just like, okay, I left college, left Bible college, went to and started rapping, and then I hooked up with the first Latin rap group in the history of rap music, which was Lighter Shade of Brown. You know what I mean? And then we were the first to break those barriers down.
Talk about that experience of being the first, and what were some of the lessons you learned from that experience that made you to who you are right now?
Well, the lessons was because I'm Black and Puerto Rican, right? So when Lighter Shade Brown came out, they were like a straight Latin group, and for me, joining that, having to go do concerts and stuff, it was interesting because they didn't see, back then the Black and Brown thing was really like a real situation, and so excuse me.
Yeah.
And so whenever we were on stage, I would get looked at by the Mexican gangbangers. Like, what is this Black dude doing on stage? So it was just one of those things where, you got to see racism right in its face. You know what I mean? And we were, even though we were both discriminated against, as far as, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, we're both discriminated against, and you're going to discriminate me. Right. And so, but I learned that's where I learned patience. You know what I'm saying? I learned to keep my poise, because as I'm walking around on stage, they looking at me like this. Like, the show's going on, but they keeping their eye on me. So that, that could be intimidating. But for me, it wasn't, because I knew who I was, but I also knew that we were all both peoples that were discriminated against.
You had love for them, so you can empathize and not take it personal, and try to be inspirational. Yeah.
Fact.
Like Meek Mill says, he rolls to the hood to give them motivation, even though I know they hating. He tries to show, but he doesn't fall victim to their ignorance.
Yeah, that's true. I always stated that, once if you a hood, leave the hood once you make it. Just go back and support. Be supportive of that. Go build a gym. Go build the whatchamacallit. But when they see you driving around in your Bentley, that it just reminds them of the things they don't have. And at some point, somebody's gonna get jealous. And at some point, it's not gonna end well. That's the only thing I always disliked about the dudes that make it out. Okay, we know you street. You know what I'm saying? We know you got these credentials, but when you going back, it's almost like you bragging. You know what I mean? And some dudes ain't with that.
Maybe it's the way that they do it.
Could be.
This is good. How you feel, man?
I'm good. I'm just was recovering from being in the hospital a few weeks ago. So, but
Okay.
Well, I'm here talking to you, so it's yeah. You know what I mean?
Make sure the spirit's in the air. I hope you feel it, man.
Oh yeah.
Excellent, man. This is great. I really appreciate, man. You thank you man. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do. Young Black men need more men like you that can be vulnerable and be like, I love you. You don't say that enough. So I want to talk about that, man. So I'm an educator in Detroit. And it has its realities. I've been an educator in Detroit for 6 years, and I came here purposely in Detroit because my last home, New Orleans, unfortunately it was lost due to Katrina. My people are still there. I have family there, but this is not the same, man. going back is just hard for me to kind of grapple with. So Detroit was kind of like a new, you know, like a new New Orleans, or just a new place for me to kind of be with my people. And it's a lot.
Right.
You know, the people here are strong. They are hardworking. They have one of the greatest minds here in Detroit, man. Like really smart, hardworking people. But there are many inequities and disparities that keep us from reaching our potential. And unfortunately, it hurts our young Black men. And I always have to empathize, come at them with love. When they come at me something that is stereotypically not appealing, I have to look at that, dissect it, and always come up with love. And so for example, you have young artists that want to become rappers and their direction goes in a different direction. That's not as spirit healing, that is not as positive, that is not as regenerating. Where for you did the rap, but you went to the Christian route. I'm not trying to say like Christian, like quote unquote, but you went to a different route. And I'm assuming it was much more fulfilling, because when I hear your lyrics, they're very motivational. They're very, very liberating. So what advice would you give to those artists who are interested in music, but their spirit is, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Why Christian rap and not the
well, I mean, I keep it as simple as this, is that Christian rap didn't come for me until 3 years ago. You see what I'm saying? Like, I've been a secular rapper for pretty much my whole rap career.
And define secular.
You see what I'm saying? Secular meaning that non-Christian.
Got it.
You know,
Go ahead.
even though hip hop itself was founded on spiritual rap. If you go back to the first days of the 5%ers and the 3%, like that, they were all rappers. Even Busta Rhymes' new album is a spiritual album,
right?
Because he's talking about knowledge itself and knowledge is king, and giving you that Hebrew Israelite type vibe. We just don't call it a spiritual album because it's considered hip hop. It's only Christian rap that's considered Christian rap. You know what I'm saying? But it should just be hip hop because that's what it is, right? So my whole career has been laced in So I told you I went to Bible college, but I left because of the ridicule and the stuff that was happening. But I still had those morals and principles within me. So as I lived life, I carried that with me. Even though I was doing non-Christian rap, I still was a dude that didn't smoke. I was still nothing. I didn't smoke cigarettes. I didn't smoke weed. I was still a dude that didn't drink. I don't drink alcohol. Even when I tried it, it was just like, oh, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So even still, I carried values and morals with me. So whenever my words come out, you can go listen. I got an album out as Emcee N.I.C.E, my first one, which is all about you. It's a love record. I'm talking about, how I feel, how I emotionally feel, or if I'm talking to somebody, but it's never been about advocation of violence, never been about advocation of liquor, alcohol, drugs. So I've always carried those morals. It's funny. I put out a record with a famous actress, Stacey Dash, right? And that was going to be a big record until, the thing that happened with Obama. You know what I mean? It was co-signed by Russell Simmons, and we was on our way.
Context,
but
Obama.
Prior to that, she did. I think she disrespected me.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Continue, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was like some type of disrespect there, and then Black Twitter jumped on us.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Oh, the record is trash. Oh, this and that. You know what I mean? But then I turned around and came out with another record that was on the Billboard charts for like 13 weeks. But then during the journey, God was like, yo, I need you to go back to Christian rap music. It is now Christian hip hop. I need you to take what you've learned, what you've gained over the years as an executive, as a artist, as a marketing, like all the things that you understand and know, bring that into a culture that that really didn't have all that together. You know what I mean? And so for me, I was like, yo, God, I'm about to bust. I'm about to, finally get this #1 record, this as far as on my own. And he was like, I said what I said. So I ended up going into the Christian hip hop space where I created an album in 14 songs in 24 hours, two 12-hour sessions, right? The record you're listening to was done in 24 hours, literally.
Name of it again?
Right. And so, huh?
Go ahead, brother, man. I was saying, what's the name of the album?
What'd you say? Praise.
Praise.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my album Praise was done in 24 hours. Right. And so for me, I normally take a while to do the records, but for some reason that album came, and then my last song was I Got Angels, which was a remake of a gospel legend giant named Richard Smallwood. So we did the record, got the blessings from Richard Smallwood, and that record went #1 on the Billboard charts.
Wow.
Keep in mind, I'm in a genre that nobody know me. You know what I'm saying? So that went #1. Then when that record was hot, I dropped the album. And then the album went #1 on the gospel charts on Billboard. So it became, at that time, I had the #1 gospel album and the #1 song in the gospel and Christian field. And then ultimately, I ended up getting 4 more #1s in that span. Wow. So my transition into Christian hip hop was just God, was God telling me that, yo, I can give you what you want. You just got to give me what I want. And that's what happened.
And he blessed you. He definitely blessed you, man. He definitely blessed you, and we're about to wrap up real quickly. So I just want to talk about blessings, man, because one thing we got to understand about people is that they are blessings, because our lives aren't, how can I say, you may not wake up the next day, because just, life is like that, especially during coronavirus. We always have to stay, how can I say, stay in the moment and appreciate the moment. So let's talk about Tupac, man. Rest in peace. Like I said, when I hear your music, I hear, Hail Mary cadences. I hear, Lord, Apocalypto, Tupacalypto, and N.I.G.G.A. and, a lot of people don't talk about those 2 albums. Everybody always talk about, All Eyes, was it? Excuse me. All Eyes on Me. And
yeah, they talk about the commercial records.
The commercial records, but they never talk about those first 2, man. And he was a revolutionary. His mother, his uncle affiliated with the Black Panther Party. He was young, but very well educated. He was very well read. He went to art school. He was a poet. He was a thespian. He was an actor. Just talk about, those experiences. You got a credit, from him called Thug Mansions. That's cool, but I want to talk about just the experience. What was it like to be, around him?
Yeah, well, see, here's the funny thing. I knew Tupac earlier because the record we worked on is after he died, right? So I knew him prior to, but it wasn't I don't even think at that point he understood, there was a producer in the midst. It was just more like, people hanging around people, being in the same circles, because then hip hop was small, you know what I mean? And you see everybody all the time, you know what I mean? And I had a manager at the time that was the president of Def Jam. I think he was the president of Def Jam West when Def Jam was on the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? And and so you get put in environments where you meet. So you meet. But we didn't really get to I didn't get to sit down and create with him. Politics with him, yeah, but we didn't get to create. It was after he died when they reached out and was like, yo, we got these Pac records and we need remixes, for him. And so there was like about 14 songs done that only one of them made it, but we did like 14 of them. You see what I'm saying? And so that was the move. But you could feel the spirit of Pac when you hear the words. You know what I mean? And that was, I think that was more like the that was more, I said, genuine and emotion. It was like you had that genuine connection in being in the studio and hearing the words come out, hearing that acoustic guitar against the words. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you there living that moment with him.
If you were to try to characterize his rapping, how would you describe it in one sentence or one or two sentences?
I would describe it as um I would say classic.
Mm.
I would say classic because there's no one like him. You know what I'm saying? Even his tones is whatever. There was nobody like him. I could paint a perfect picture for you. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, those, you know, the way his inflections, right, his tones, his writing style. Come with me. You know what I mean? Like he gave you that. He gave you drama that pulled you in. You know, there's really nobody that does that outside of Jay-Z, but Jay has his own style that pulls you in. You hear Jay, like, you already know who it is. You know what I mean? So for him, and I label those people as classics. When Rakim come on the record, you know. When Redman come on the record, you know. Biggie come on the record, you know. Some of these other dudes today, I don't know. I hear records and go, who that? Because they don't leave those type of impressions today. You know, so I would label him classic.
Absolutely. I guess any other aspiring artists you out there, you making music, you know, I guess what advice would you give to them when they're making music for that, very briefly? Well, I guess
I think at the end of the day, don't be so. Oh, go ahead.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Now, I would say, don't be so indifferent that you cross yourself out. Because a lot of people want to be eclectic, they want to be classic. I mean, they want to be different, but you can't be so different that you don't get played. You know, when you think about Andre 3000. When he came into the game, it was all the players came from far and wide. Like he gave you the trend. And right, then once he got in, he gave you, hey, hey. Like he went into him.
Yeah.
Same with CeeLo Green. When CeeLo Green came in, who's that peeping through my window? Pow. To, you know what I'm saying, to what he's doing now.
Yeah.
So absolutely. At the end of the day, if you're an artist, you know what I'm saying, in order to get in, understand the trends. You know, understand the trends and put you in it. You don't have to be like them, but in order for you to get played, you have to have some type of resemblance, because DJs is the number one thing in regards to music. I always go to DJs and be like, yo, what's your playlist this week or this month? What's the BPMs? And they'll be like, well, I'm playing anything from 98 BPM to 130. So if you come in with a record that's 70, you ain't getting no spin. You know what I'm saying? If you come in with a record he's telling you it's 98 and you come in 95, he gonna have to try to speed that record up to try to fit it in, but 9 times out of 10, they don't want to do it. So I use this method, and you know it as a teacher. In business, there's this thing called SWOT analytics, right? SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So at the end of the day, when you create a business and any investor coming in wants to know that you know or understand the SWOT analysis of your business. Do you understand the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Because if you do, if the business it comes under fire, you know how to troubleshoot. So you take that analysis, and now I make it applicable to life. Applicable simply means applying, right? So I apply that to life. myself. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my, because that way I know how I operate. So when I go to, for an artist that's going into a genre, let's say you want to be a hip hop dude and Jay-Z is like your thing, or if we go even more modern, J. Cole is your thing. Well, what is J. Cole's strengths? What is J. Cole weaknesses? What is the opportunities and threats? And how does he, when you start applying those things to the various situations within hip hop, you'll know how to maneuver. Who's the hottest DJs? What is his strengths? How can I slide in there? Once you understand the SWOT of the industry, you'll be more successful than you even know.
So again, man, thank you again, man. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. You are definitely teaching. You're definitely teaching. You're educating. And the great Elliot, Jane Elliott, she said that an educator, your job is to make you less ignorant. And you're definitely doing that, man. So thank you. So let's talk about. Yeah, man. So let's talk about some of your works with Crash, some of your works with Nas. Like again, man, you said God called you, but the cool thing you did is you used your will and you listen. A lot of people don't listen, and you listen, man. And so I really want to hear the blessings that God gave you. So talk about your experience with Nas. Nas, like I said, man, he was a trap intellect when I heard Illmatic, you know what I'm saying? Illmatic with AZ next to it, and just
yeah, you gotta admire people like Nas, because his rap is just, if you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss it, because it can be mesmerizing sometimes, because he doesn't really change his inflections. He give it to you straight. The beat of change, but it's still straight. You know what I'm saying? Versus a Busta Rhymes be like, he can say hey, but that hey, the way he says it is how you do it. He'd be like, hey, yo, what? Oh, you know what I mean? That pulls you in, where you be like, yo, okay. But Nas he'll give you like crafty lyrics and crafty bars. And that's what it is when he did the Thug's Mansion acoustic New York.
Yeah.
You see, so that's that record that's on the Godson album. Right. You know what I mean? And so in having conversations with him, it was always, this dude was always genuine, and at the same time, he always dropped gems on you. But you could see that in the way he moved, and his work ethic. A lot of people don't know, but Nas is low key one of the big ballers in the game. You just don't see it, you don't hear it, because he's not out telling you, oh, look at me, I'm balling out of control with the businesses and I'm talking about, generational wealth.
Right.
He's a dude that's doing that. And that's not enough. It's not enough for that. And, with our culture, we don't have enough generational wealth. You know what I mean? We can't name a Hershey's, a Wrigley's, or a Hilton. All these people are brand names, Campbell's. You see what I'm saying? Who we got? Jordan is the only one. He got but you can't say BET, they sold it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure. What'd you say?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, and then you got to hope that, I don't know, maybe Paris Jackson, gets the understanding of what her daddy's legacy really meant. And because it's like once Mike left, it seemed like that we forgot about the Jacksons.
Yeah.
Now daddy gone.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So there's going to be some kids that never know who Michael Jackson or the Jackson 5 really is. And they trailblaze big time for groups. So and that's the one thing about, with the Nas. Now, landing on Crash was another unique thing where the movie was already done. And so they was putting the soundtrack together saying, hey, you guys want to get on this soundtrack? But we wanted to get in the movie, and it was just like, it's done, it's closed. So here's the opportunity. We took it. I was in a group called Kansas Cali, right? And so we took that opportunity, and not knowing what the outcome, this was before we knew the movie was going to win anything. And so we ended up shooting a music video, That music video got put on the DVD, which ultimately ended up selling like 10 million units.
Wow.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then from there, we were able to land on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the international soundtrack, which from there we got added as a special feature to the DVD that sold in Germany. You know what I mean? And then from there, we landed on Kicking It Old School with Jamie Kennedy, Haven with Orlando Bloom and Zoe Saldana. I don't have them up, but I have all of those too. ESPN's Pele. And then transitioning into working with Dr. Fink with Prince and the Revolution and redoing a Prince remake called Pop Life, in which Prince loved, and that was the first record that went on the tribute album. You know what I'm saying? And so it was like the things kept coming into my cartoon. Now, you know I got the cartoon, but what you didn't know is that my uncle, Ronald Husband, was the first black animator ever at Disney.
That's your
You
uncle?
see? Yes.
Really?
Yeah, Ronald Husband. They call him Huz. You'll see him doing like he's on the I think it's the special features for the Lion King where they're talking to him about these things. But I've watched him draw the characters for Little Mermaid. When I used to come around to the house, and visit. You know what I mean? To watch those characters evolve until he did his own cartoon, which was Atlantis. You know what I'm saying? So I come from that back, even though I didn't use him for my cartoon, though. That's the funny part, is that I did the cartoon and then showed him, and he was so impressed, that I didn't even thought about it for a second, like why I didn't come to him. But, he was with Disney.
What was one of the gem that you never forgot from your uncle?
He says to be you no matter what, no matter who, no matter what, be you. And if you be you and you authentic to you, then you'll continue to be authentic. It's when you want not authentic is when you're fake. But if you be authentic to you and be you, you'll always win. And that's always been that guy, to be authentic to myself.
Absolutely. Did you make that hat?
No, this is the LA Football Club. It's a soccer team here in LA that was in fact, we had the #1 team in MLS. So, I'm doing a festival there this July, and so, I got a root for the team at the stadium. So we rented out the stadium this July.
Well, hopefully they do well, man. So thank you again, brother, man. We're about to close. I just want to real quickly just give the viewers what do you want them to get from this podcast? Ultimately, we talked a lot, man. We talked about educators. We talked about how they influence you to continue writing. We talked about Shakespeare. We talked about you being, a football player. I didn't know that, man. That's dope. What position did you play?
I played tailback.
Oh, wow. So you were, dang. So you were definitely in the trenches, man. Oh, man.
Yeah, but then I also played hoops. I was that guy. It's just once you get injured, that's it. And you fight. That's why I admire these dudes in the league right now. Like, they fought the battles through Little League. You know what I'm saying? Through all the leagues to get to that point and still have their bodies with them.
Yeah, they're very different generation. It's different.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to give them more credit. We need more educators like you and I, man, to give them a platform like your teacher did, so they can just shoot off, man. But again, man, I really appreciate you coming on the T Simple podcast. We focus on providing simple solutions in the classroom, brother, man. You gave so many gems. Be your authentic self. Be your authentic self. I'm gonna just put that. That's gonna be the title of this. That's gonna be the title of this podcast, man. Just be you, man. Because if you be you,
yeah, be your authentic self. Well, if I can leave some words of encouragement. So the words is this: for any great achievement, someone has to be the first to do it. So why not you? For any great achievement. So at the end of the day, if you're out there trying to make it happen and it's never been done before, consider that. You know what I'm saying? That No one's ever done, nobody ever created the light bulb until it was created.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody created the ice cream until it was created. So at the end of the day, for any great achievement, someone has to be the first. So be the first. I'm reading this book right now by Jonah Berger called Contagious. Fire book, right? I read another book called Blitzscaling. Blitzscaling is fire because it teaches you how some of these businesses came to be where they just wanted to be first to market. They didn't care about the things that was going to happen, but if they were first to market, then they became the authority in it. You see, so that's what happened with the what'd you say?
No, I want to learn. I want to know more. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's a book called Blitz. Let me see. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. There you go. Got it right there. That's how I know doing your thing.
So Blitzscaling, right? Great book. And then there's my book, of course, 50 Shades of Love. You can check that out.
So I want you to.
Is that?
Go ahead.
Oh, what you gonna say?
Now, so I want you to read one of your poems, man, because I was listening to when you was doing the little poetry battle on.
My Shakespeare. I pulled one up.
That was dope.
Yeah. You see, I was it was
I was building.
Yeah, so it was just one of those things, at the I'll read this one. It's called Every Time My Mind Goes There, right? So it says, and I've never read my poetry, on whatever. So you really getting, a gem right now, right? Oh. So it goes, as the time we spend together begins to tally, my heart and love for you begins to rally, shaking hands with one another, because I finally found the reason for existing. You were indeed the reason. As I wage war with my emotions, teetering back and forth the notions of our coexistence, I find myself persistence in its indulgence. You have awakened in me a desire that was once adrift, a desire that any man would don fatigues and camouflage for to keep its residence. The gaze of your beautiful eyes reveals so much, and I can feel the release of all your pain every time we touch and clutch. You're so damn fine. Man, I don't mean that from the breast and behind. I mean your beautiful soul, what resonates from that beautiful mind that allows me to unwind whenever we find time. See, you're my poster woman for perfection. Not a choice or a selection or a part of some exotic collection. No, you're more like an intravenous injection filled with a vaccine that makes my heart trampoline every time my mind goes there. I sense the stability somewhere in your stability, the ability to maintain and sustain through rough terrain. You feel me? So that beneath the uncovered veins hover a love-thirsty heart needing a jump start. A reconnect with respect, a dissolve with the unsolved as you revolve. Every time my mind goes there, I find myself slipping away with no recovery.
That's the simplicity, y'all. We got the Teach Simple podcast. My brother came in with the poetry, came in with the knowledge. He want to make sure y'all go to knowledge, and I appreciate you, brother, man, for coming on the podcast and blessing the brother, man. With just your everything, man. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. So thank you so much, brother, man. Y'all peace out.